we go. You gotta be ready now.
All right, so essentially the question is, what is the line between a repetitious game that's boring versus a repetitious game that's still entertaining and compels you to want to beat the entire game? Because in essence, all games are very, very repetitious.
You had thoughts, did you?
I mean, I thought he was going to dive more into it.
No.
But I think, I mean, if you're playing a game and it gets to the point where you actually feel that it's repetitious, that's where the line is. If you're playing some shit and you don't feel like it's repetitious, then, I mean, you just sitting there having fun. But I think you can acknowledge that it's repetitious and still have fun, and then be like, but I'm still having fun though. To where in another game you're playing it like, this shit is like repetitious. It's not fun. I'm not playing this shit no more.
Well, I mean, I get that, and I do totally agree. But like, what exactly would you say creates that feeling? Because like, I look at things like back in the day, I played Zombies. I played Call of Duty Zombies, like classic.
Fuck zombies, man.
And well, classic Zombies, I never had the feeling of repetition, even though that game's literal design is repetition.
Yeah, wasn't it?
But it never felt that way.
But that was was that the only one that was like pure horde mode?
Yeah, where literally
okay.
all it was you're put into a level.
Yeah.
Zombies start coming in, you kill them. Once you kill them all, the next round starts. That's literally all it was.
That concept was cool. I never really dove into it because I don't like fucking Call of Duty Zombies. That shit's trash to me. But the concept of it being like a horde mode is cool with me.
But yeah, like it just, that game didn't feel repetitious, even though like what did they do essentially? Even though like that game literally is the very definition of a repetitious game. But something about their formula made it so it didn't feel that way. Versus other games that are like some of the most elaborate games you could think of, and yet you play 2 levels and you're like, okay, this is boring.
Give me a game that does that. That's boring, but it's like intricate and it's supposed to be good.
Let's see, like the new Dynasty Warriors 9. It's got a huge, elaborate open
Dynasty
world.
Warriors
No. The reason I say 9 though is because 9 actually tried to do so much more. Okay. There's now character editing, not like customize your own character, but now
which one are they on right now?
9. Oh, 9. Yeah, it's the newest one. It came out like a handful of months ago, like earlier this year, I think. Mm-hmm. And there's now like all of China is an explorable like world. Not all of China. I'm over exaggerating greatly, but it's a massive map.
Yeah, y'all don't get mad. He doesn't mean all of China, just a lot of y'all.
Oh Jesus! But there's a good chunk of China. There's a good chunk to do in the map, so it's not just like a big ass empty map. I mean, the map is so big it kind of feels a little empty. But the developers kind of stated they did that on purpose because back in that time, China was very undeveloped. So there was a lot of empty land. But, you know, there's fortresses for you to attack. There's people for you to recruit. There's small skirmishes you can jump into. There's larger skirmishes you can jump into. There's tons to do in this game.
But it's boring.
But I played the game for like 2 hours and was like, this is boring. I'm doing the same thing. I don't want to play no more.
I think that game was a case of you tried to do too much. It was too much of a good thing.
But
like, because when it first came out, it's like an arcade hack and slash. That's really what it is. And the one game, and I can never pinpoint like exactly what he said, so I'm paraphrasing like super hard. But one of the developers for Halo, when it was like Bungie that owned them or something, he said that someone asked him what made Halo so fun for people, even though you're literally doing the same thing every level. And he says we take 5 seconds of fun and we loop it. So within like that first, it may not even be 5 seconds, but within the first amount of seconds, we try to create this kind of like vortex of fun, if you will, and then we loop that every time. So like Dynasty Warriors, the old school ones, I never really got bored because every 5 seconds it was like nothing new really happened at all. It was just that the way they threw stuff at me, how do I put it? I'm trying to figure out a really good way of putting this without like fudging it up, and it's hard because it's like you had stated that like the Last of Us is literally like the 3 levels.
Yeah.
What made that game fun is even though you recycled those 3 things in slightly different orders, they put you in different situations that made you utilize the game mechanics in kind of a different way. So it felt fresh. Where there are other games that don't do that. They literally just take the same thing and are like, we're kind of going to put you in a different situation, but you solve it the exact same way, almost the exact same way. It's like that minor difference that makes it fresh, as small as it may be. And I feel like that's what the new Dynasty Warriors fudged up on. Like, there's too much to do now. Like, you ran from the formula like, let's just add a bunch of shit just because, you know. But that's, for me, that's what separates something that's truly repetitious from something that's like, it's repetitious, but it's fun. You slightly change how I solve something using the game mechanics themselves.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think a big part of it for me is the engagement in terms of story. Because you're talking about Halo, and that's interesting that a developer would say they just taking the same shit and like repeating it over and over. But at the same time, it's like every mission you just fighting the fucking aliens and shit. At the same time, it's like there's a story involved in it. And then you were talking about Last of Us when we talked about it before. We were talking about Last of Us is kind of like a pattern too, but the engagement there is like
thrill of the situation.
Yeah, like the situation that they're in. Like you still got the same mechanics, but you got to use these mechanics to get out of this situation. In whatever way you can do that shit. It's like a survival aspect almost.
Okay.
So, and then if you compare that to like Dynasty Warriors,
9 specifically.
Yeah, specifically.
I was gonna say any Dynasty Warriors.
Well, hold up.
From what I played, I didn't play. I played them like sparingly throughout the series.
Oh, okay.
But I think 5 was the one that had it was like you can create a character.
Oh,
and
Empire
your character, is like involved in the world now, and you take over shit. That was the most fun I had with Dynasty Warriors. But at the same time, the mission itself and what you're doing in the game,
Oh,
you
it's
just
the same.
beating up a bunch of motherfuckers. It's literally an army on the map, and you just kill them all, and that was the end of the mission, pretty much. I was like, damn.
But the thing about that is, it's like, what made Dynasty Warriors fun in that sense, it was like horde mode, but you had all the power.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't...
I
if
mean,
you got
you
ran
should.
over, you just sucked. Like, honestly. I mean,
it's almost impossible to die in that game.
even in, chaos mode or whatever?
Like, until you fought certain bosses, but yes.
Like Lou fucking Boo.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the only variable in any of the missions that was interesting. They had some sort of boss.
Interesting?
Yeah.
You mean terrifying. When he showed up, I would run the opposite way.
But, like...
Fuck that.
But, like, even going in, I think, like, it's gotta... I feel like it's gotta be something more than that, or maybe less than that, because, like, with any statistic, there's always gonna be one or two of them, like, you know, one or two examples to disprove the statistic. But in this case, that one or two example is large enough to say that statistic may not be the correct statistic. So, like, in the sense of, like, how you were saying, like, with Halo, he got the same 5 seconds of fun and looped it. To a degree, I agree with you. You know, like, that's why we enjoy games like Halo or Battlefield or Call of Duty at all, you know? Or I would argue most first-person shooters, because it gets the same moment of action, the moment that engages you, and just repeats it. Slightly rinses and repeats it a little bit, but but loops it, you know? But what about the games that do that exact same tactic and fail? Or the opposite, where...
I need an example of a game that failed by doing that.
I mean, every to be very blanket termy with this, every first-person shooter that's not Call of Duty, Halo, or Battlefront. You know what I mean? All those first-person shooters, like, okay, perfect example, Battleborn? Is that
Battleborn?
it?
Oh, basically...
It's very similar to Overwatch. It's not identical, but it's
so
very
is
similar.
Paladins.
Yeah, and so is Paladins. Those 3 games came out all about the same time and all did about the same thing with very slight different variants. We won't really go into what the variants are, just know that there are variants between the 3. But for some reason, Overwatch and Paladins excelled but this third game that's basically doing the same thing
Failed.
Just failed.
Now,
Like it just didn't exist.
and an unfair advantage to Overwatch, they had Blizzard.
I mean,
They had advertising, media, they had all the hype. The other ones had advertising, media, but not the same clout that that IP had.
Yeah.
They had commercials upon commercials, animated shorts. The other ones did too, but they could make it pop up everywhere. So they were already at a disadvantage there. Now down to the game mechanics. I wish that we were more hardcore of like Overwatch players, because when we played Overwatch, like I would get pumped. I don't know what it was with the matches, but they would be so chaotic, but in a way it was like you still knew what was going on in all that chaos.
Yeah.
It wasn't like so much was happening that I didn't know what the fuck was going on. It was like, this is chaotic, but I know what's happening. It's like each character they created had such a dynamic between each other. And when I'm just explaining my experience, they were all different. They were all unique enough in a way. And to argue Paladins does the same thing, which is why it's like, what, second to that? Because clearly Battleborn isn't even on the map.
Yeah, it's not even on the map anymore.
I feel like Battleborn... Okay, Battleborn is the same, right? I'm going to use this because I work at the club, so I'm going to use dancers as a result.
Okay.
Okay, there's two types of dancers that come into the club. Use this as Battleborn and Overwatch. One person is an actual dancer.
Okay.
Right? The other person can dance.
Okay.
Okay, Battleborn is the guy that walks in and he can dance only because he like learned from his uncle and he's doing a bunch of Bobby Brown-esque shit. And I'm actually referring to like a real person. 9 times out of 10, people are like, that's too much. Right? Battleborn may have done too much of the right thing. Like, because they were super stylized in a way that was like, all right, I get it. Like, because their commercials and stuff was like, I get it. Y'all the shit, you know?
Yeah.
Then there's the dancer who's like, look, I'm going to kind of dance and take all the bitches home. Which, again, I've seen this, and that's what Overwatch did. He's like, I'm going to do a few moves just enough to make you interested, but not enough to make you feel like I'm doing way too fucking much.
So essentially, Battleborn tried to be cool, and Overwatch was like actually cool.
Already cool. That's the thing, yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
That's kind of, in my head, that's kind of how it happened, because nobody heard of, like...
I was going to say that just because they had that... I mean, Overwatch was so big with, like, YouTubers and shit, and YouTubers have so much fucking power over what games that people play.
I agree.
When they stream and
too
make
much
videos,
power,
all
actually.
kind of shit like that. That's probably why fucking Rainbow Six Siege came up, like, or came back as hard as it did.
Because no one was playing that at first.
But, I mean, YouTubers and fucking streamers were still playing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
yeah, and I wish we had played... This would be one of those times where I would, like... want us to play Battleborn just to actually see the feel.
Well, I mean, I've played a decent amount of it.
Because I haven't really played that much to really judge it. That's how I compare the two.
It does feel good, and it doesn't... I can't really say that Battleborn is in any way a bad game. It's just... I don't know how to explain it. I just want to play Overwatch more.
Is it missing, like, character? Is the character design?
I mean,
is it the maps?
Aesthetically, I don't like Battleborn's aesthetic.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was...
You know me, I don't like anatomically incorrect, like, art designs. I hate it when you have, like, the guy whose upper body, like Johnny Bravo,
So, he was-
like, super big upper body and, like, tiny legs. Like, if you got a big upper body, that's fine, but then have, like, sizable legs that make sense.
So
you know what I'm saying?
it was too...
So it was, like, to me, it was aesthetically not pleasing.
It was too cartoony.
Gears of War, I'm just curious.
Well, Gears of War, everybody in that game
the gears
felt
are
like,
big as fuck, but everybody else is like regular size.
yeah, to me that just felt like all the main characters are bodybuilders. You know what I mean? Like
it was still realistic.
Yeah, it was
quote,
realistic
unquote.
because realistically,
kind of, yeah.
I'm kind of exaggerating here a little bit, but like even in real life, if you go look at like real army dudes, like that dudes that are like jarheads, they're all stacked. They're not like fucking like, you know, bodybuilder status, but they're all big, nice sized dudes.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
it fits for what they do for a living. They literally carry like 90 pounds of gear for a living. So they're gonna be bigger dudes, you know?
Yeah, makes
so
sense.
it made sense in Gears of War. Now again, they are a little bit more over exaggerated. They're a little bit bigger, but then again, maybe not. Because I mean, they're literally wearing metal harnesses. You know, whereas in real life we don't wear metal harnesses, we wear like cloth harnesses.
And if we're getting real technical, the human body does evolve.
Yeah, exactly.
To suit
what it's doing. Like
Yeah.
they're literally carrying machine guns that have fucking chainsaws on them. that's probably doubling the weight of that gun.
Yeah.
So they gotta be big, nice sized dudes, you know what I mean? So, like, but even with them, like, their legs weren't ridiculously tiny. They had comparable sized legs in comparison to their upper
So
body.
you're saying to the point where it's like cartoony?
Yeah, where it's like cartoony.
Yeah, it was cartoony.
Now again, this
I don't
is
fuck with
just
that either.
me personally. I can't, like, it's just ugly to me. Like, before Battle Royale, I was already giving up on Fortnite. Because Fortnite has that really cartoony, stylized art. You could ask Adrian, like, I wanted to be the builder class in that game. I couldn't do it, though, because the builder class has that Johnny Bravo body.
Yeah.
Like, he has that, like, overly stocky upper body, but then fucking tiny ass legs. And I was like, okay, I can't do this shit.
So I am looking at like the Battleborn characters, and they are very, very animated.
Yeah, they're very stylized.
They're very, very, very stylized. It's like that's like a niche kind of
again,
group that you're like.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I don't like it.
Yeah.
So that was my
it's the same
first.
for me.
Yeah, that's my first detachment from that game. But even looking aside from that, solid gameplay, it really wasn't bad. It had really good action. It was very, very fast paced, which is what today's America loves. Is not even today's America, today's world loves is very fast paced, relentless action. It had that, you know. It had decent animations. It had decent, like, explosions and things going on. You know, it was bright and colorful and vibrant. So it's hard for me to really pinpoint what about it made me not want to play it, but
I can't really comment because I never played Battleborn or Paladins, but I played a little bit of Overwatch, and I found Overwatch to be kind of repetitive and boring,
okay.
except for the Lucio Ball. That Lucio Ball
I haven't
is fired.
I haven't actually played Lucio Ball, but I've heard good things.
It's actually
get on
pretty,
that
it's
shit.
pretty fun.
That shit is fucking dope.
Yeah.
I think it's just because it's so simple. It's 3 niggas on each team. You got a big ass ball, and you shoot the ball in the goal.
So it's similar to the one with the cars.
yeah.
It's similar to that.
Rocket League.
Yeah, Rocket. It's similar to Rocket League.
Yeah.
Okay.
Except you're not driving a car. You're just fucking
exactly.
You're Lucio shooting the motherfucker around.
Okay.
That shit is dope.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
it's like, I was putting in work on that shit. They wasn't setting up no goalies. Them niggas wasn't playing no positions.
Or
They
like-
was just running around trying to fucking shoot the ball.
To even get more technical about it, or even like dig into this question a little bit more, I kind of stated it, or I kind of brought it up a moment ago. Like Battle Royale games. I've played quite a few of them, and a lot of them are the same, and a lot of them are somewhat unique. Like, you know, they have like unique little augmentations to kind of claim their own name, but a lot of them really are just that core 100-man Battle Royale, like deathmatch kind of deal.
I think when it comes to Battle Royale, it's always that one unique thing about it that makes it like more fun.
Yeah,
than
no,
the other
I
ones.
agree. But then there's even some of them, like, there's some of them that don't have anything unique, but they're still the king of the ring. Like, PUBG, PUBG is apparently falling off.
Yeah, they falling
because the Battle Royale as a whole is dying. But why was PUBG the king of the ring when all it was a generic shooter?
Whereas just because it was the dude that originated Battle Royale, so he went out and made his own game, and it was like, this shit is gonna be the best. And it pretty much was, but it wasn't finished.
Yeah.
Then Fortnite came out and took over that shit.
So what I think with battle royales is I don't even think it's the gameplay mechanic. I think it's more of a conceptual thing that draws people, because like everybody, a lot of people that game want to be number one, like in an instant.
Yeah.
What quicker way to do that than a battle royale where there's 100 people?
Yeah.
Like you have a quicker chance to do it in a day than you do your whole fucking life.
Yeah.
I think it's more of the concept, like, because at the core of it is like we go pick up some stuff, we go shoot some people. A lot of games, every other shooter does that.
I agree, but what makes one battle royale repetitious and the other battle royale fun?
And we've actually talked about this. Now, the reason I believe that Fortnite took over was simply because of the build system.
Yeah, I mean a lot of
build
people,
system.
It's always that one unique characteristic that makes it different.
Also, they took plenty advantage of current trending things very quickly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
every time a new dance came out,
they were on it.
Emoji.
They were on it.
They literally added Thanos to the game with the Infinity Gauntlet.
But that's how you stay relevant.
Yeah.
It's not it's no longer about my design is going to carry me. It's
integration of other popular
exactly
things.
what in popular culture is going to get people to look at what
That's
I
true.
did.
No, I
You know,
agree.
so with battle royales, that's like the one genre where I feel like it's not so much the mechanic, it's everything outside of it that kind of shapes
I
what
would
makes
say
it
that
good or not.
Because
Okay.
Dead by Daylight is doing the same thing where they're integrating like other horror movie characters into the game.
Yeah,
shit.
and that game, honestly, it's underneath the radar, but at the same time,
Staying
it's
relevant.
not underneath the radar.
Yeah.
But it's like you just said, every time a popular horror monster comes out, they're adding it to the game, whether it's a new character, a new killer, or some little level, or an Easter egg in the level. Like, they're integrating all these big franchises into this game.
And mind you, we've been talking about massive multiplayer games, not even single player.
Yeah.
Because that by itself makes the game more fun. If you have more people playing your game, more people equals more fun.
Yeah.
More randomness happens, more unpredictable thing. You know, it's crazier because there's more people.
Yeah.
But what about single player? What makes a single, like not a single, but like a couch game where you don't really go online?
I mean, I'd argue it's almost the exact same thing because, and I mean, I'm sure a lot of people will try to argue me this and crucify me, but in its core essence, Spider-Man is not a good game.
Wait.
Look,
Don't crucify him. Jesus got crucified. That's where it stays. Nobody else needs them nails and them thorns, man. Okay? He's being real.
All the shit you was talking
Well, because
about Spider-Man.
let me explain. So
All right.
it's got a good story. Don't get me wrong. It's got a pretty damn good story, but not trying to downplay that at all. But it's a story that's been done. But again, I'm not trying to say that makes it a bad story. It has a good story. It does have very good game mechanics, both combat and traversal, which are two things that really matter in a Spider-Man game. You have to have good web swinging. We've seen bad web swinging in a Spider-Man game, and some of us will say that game doesn't exist anymore. It never happened. We don't talk about it. You know? Then
Anybody want some chip?
I'm okay. But
Not
thank
during
you.
it's gonna be loud.
But yeah, because the crunching and the chewing.
Yeah.
not
Hey, look, at some point, yo, I'm gonna eat.
But outside of that, then you have the combat. You have to make me feel like I'm Spider-Man when I'm fighting. The flipping and the jumping and the twirling and the webbing people up. I have to feel that it's fluid. So in that right, Spider-Man does great. You know what I mean? It's good combat, good traversal, good story. And I guess at the end of the day, that's all it takes to really actually make a good game. So I guess if that's what we're arguing, Spider-Man's a great game, sure. But outside of those three elements, that game has nothing else going for it.
Really?
It has decent graphics, don't get me wrong. The graphics are good, but they're not mind-blowing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right now, you have to have mind-blowing
What about
graphics.
for an open world game?
For an open world game, no, it's got, again, good graphics, but that's not something that's hard to come by with today's technology. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, like GTA graphics ain't that good, but that's fucking open world shit.
Well,
You give it
again,
a pass because it's open world.
That's what we used to say on PS3 and back in the day where it was like
I
the
still say that
hardware
shit.
wasn't that good. So it's like, damn, for this type of game, that's great. That's not an excuse anymore.
I'm not saying it's
We have-
great. I just give it a pass.
We
because
literally have graphic processors in our phones that are stronger than last year's console. Not literally last year's console, because last year's console is technically still this year's console.
just say last gen.
Last
you go,
gen,
yeah,
yeah. Like the processor in my phone is stronger than a PS2, damn near a PS3. You know what I mean? So
just
for
saying,
like, there's no argument anymore of saying like, oh, since this game is open world, the graphics are. You know what I mean? Like that's not a
Yeah.
thing anymore. Hardware is through the roof.
Okay.
So, but that's what I'm getting at when I say like, you can't argue me that this game doesn't need good graphics. Yes, you do. Because with today's hardware, not having good graphics is not an excuse. There's no there's no excuse.
I'll
anymore.
give you that because
You know what I mean?
It doesn't run at 60.
Yeah.
It only runs at 30.
Yeah.
I give you that shit.
Like, there's no
That shit
excuse
should be
for that
running at
anymore.
60
Yeah, there's
better
no
graphics.
excuse for you to say,
That's ridiculous.
oh, my game is only 30 frames per
I
second.
heard that shit.
or,
I was watching somebody stream and they were like, it only runs at 30. I said, what, nigga?
yeah, that's
Come on,
not,
son.
no, that's bullshit now. You're selling me a piece of crap.
Yeah.
So in that right, Spider-Man's not that amazing because graphics are good, but they're not the most mind-blowing thing I've ever seen. They're just good. In terms of the city, I don't feel like that's a living, breathing city at all whatsoever. You know what I mean? I don't. Yes, if you go sit down on the ground and you just kind of walk around, you got cars driving by, you got people walking up and down the street. And I talked to Adrian about this the other day, where a lot of developers nowadays, they'll be like, oh, we've created this new advanced AI system, and now every single AI is aware and doing their own thing and actually have their own life. And you know, like, that's cool. And that day I was arguing that that's a useless feature because I'm not sitting down and watching the AI live its life. I'm not watching this computer.
9 times out of 10, you're swinging above them.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, they're right. The developer is right. That creates a living, breathing world. You know, if I do happen to see this random encounter of this AI doing something unique, that's fucking awesome. Versus Spider-Man, where all you really see is AI walking up and down the street. That's about it. Driving a car, that's about it.
I mean, it is New York.
Like, yeah, but there's still so much more you could do with that. You know what I mean?
I know. You see them like buying hot dogs and shit, or
no,
you see them, like they just walking.
They just walking.
You don't see nobody playing those sports.
Not that I've seen. Now maybe on the internet y'all could post some pictures or some videos or something and prove me wrong. But I've beaten the entirety of that game and I've yet to see anything truly unique from the AI. You know what I mean? They're just kind of walking up and down the street, driving cars, driving boats. Right? You know what I mean? That's it. That's it. So it doesn't feel like a living, breathing city. So open world, you failed.
How many times have you seen the same civilian, like, within a span of like a couple seconds?
A decent amount. Not enough to say that they rinse and repeat civilians, but enough to say that there's only a handful of character models. You know what I mean? But that, honestly, that, I won't give it a pass, but that's something that I won't look at as difficult. Like, I won't look at as rudely. Because, like, a game like Assassin's Creed Origins, you'll see a lot of the same characteristics, but you'll almost never see the exact same NPC.
That's what's up.
You'll see an NPC that has, like, 2 of the same hair, or the same outfit, or maybe even the same face, but not, like, identical same hair, outfit, eye color, everything. Something about those 2 NPCs are different, and I'm pretty sure it's because they probably just created a set amount of prefabs, and then created, like, an auto-generator that just randomly pulls different prefabs, and then creates an NPC. Because, I mean, I've seen some weird NPCs in this game. Like, I saw, like, no, like, I'm not even kidding you. I had one where it was, like, it was a little girl with, like, nice-sized breasts. Like, I'm talking, like, maybe, like, a 10-year-old little girl.
Yeah, okay.
With, like, big breasts.
Okay, no.
But she was wearing, like, a boy's shirt. And she was bald on the top with pigtails on the side.
What?
And it was like, what is this abomination of an NPC? But then that's when I thought about it. I was like, no, they probably just created like random prefabs, and then just the game engine just kind of randomly pulls prefabs and creates an NPC, and that's how you get unique NPCs. Whereas in Spider-Man, there probably was a person and or group of people that sat down and was like, okay, let's create 50 different unique characters, or 50 different unique NPCs, and then we're just going to populate the city with that. Yeah. Whereas 50 is a massive number, but in a city populated as densely as New York, you know what I mean? So, in the other elements that make a good game, Spider-Man failed. Outside of the storyline, there's nothing to do. And don't none of y'all on the internet say collectibles, because that's all there is to do. Is go do collectibles. Yes, they kind of change what each collectible technically is, but at the end of the day, it's a fetch mission.
I thought they had a bunch of side missions and shit.
There are, but the side missions, okay, so there's the generic side mission that every Spider-Man game ever has, where you're swinging through the city and it's like, oh, this guy's robbing the bank!
Yeah.
And you stop and rob the bank, which is cool. We want that in a superhero game. You know, I want that random little side encounter. I want that. Cool. Alright. Then, I'm not going to name all the collectibles, because there's like 30 different forms of collectibles in this game, which is a lot. That's bad, but there's a lot. So then there's the random encounters, then there's the warehouse hunts, where you have to go to different warehouses and defeat 4 waves of enemies. Then after you defeat the waves, you beat the warehouse. Okay. Right? Then there's the collect the pigeons, where you literally web swing around the city and you're chasing pigeons.
Okay.
Yeah. Then there's the Shadowcat camera missions, where Shadowcat I think I'm saying it right. Shadow Cat?
That was Black Cat.
Is it Black Cat or is it Shadow Cat? I think it's Black Cat. I think you're right. It's Black Cat.
Black Cat.
Sorry, Internet. Trust me, I am a Marvel fan. Don't butcher me. I love Marvel. Black Cat. You have to go around the city and you have to find these little hideouts that she hid and she was casing an area to rob, and the area she robbed, she left like a little mannequin cat or a plush cat, and you have to find it and take a picture of it. Right. Then there's the Harry research missions, where there's these like research facilities and you have to go to them, and then each one is like its own little random little side mission. Then there's the Taskmaster missions, which within the Taskmaster missions there's 3 separate missions, where there's the bomb explosions where you have to stop various bombs from exploding, the beat 'em up missions where it's just a horde mode for like 3 rounds, and then there's chase missions where there's something you have to chase within a time limit. And that right there, I've already named a handful of missions that are all like rinse and repeat. The chase missions for Taskmaster are basically the exact same as the pigeon missions.
Damn.
Yeah.
I was thinking more like unique cinematic story missions that are outside of the main story. There's none of that?
Not that I know of, no.
Damn.
There's none of that. There's the main quest. That's about it. That's really it. There's no actual large sub missions. There are little times where you talk to an NPC and then she's like, "Oh, this robber stole my purse," and you run over here and you beat up 5 guys and get her purse back. But that to me is still just a small side mission. Damn. That is arguably the same thing as the Taskmaster beat 'em up mission, because it just sends you somewhere and you go beat up a handful of guys. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's all that game has going for it. You know. Now, I will say again, there's other things that this game did great, and as a Spider-Man game, I will say this is the best one to date. This is by far my most favorite experience of Spider-Man that I've ever done in a game ever. I would even go so far as to say the cinematics in this game, like the story, is better than any movie I've seen of Spider-Man. Like, this was an amazing Spider-Man experience, but as a game, it kind of failed. There's not a lot going on.
Well, y'all heard it first. If you all your hate mail will go to this man, not me.
I'll defend anything I said. I'll defend it, cause it's like, again, you look at open world games, and there's 2 types of open world games. There's large and empty, and small and compact.
Wait,
you know what I mean?
Wait, but would you say that this Spider-Man was repetitive in a bad way?
No, actually. I won't say that. Not until after I beat the game. Once I beat the main quest and all there was left for me to do were those little collectibles, then I was this is repetitious and boring.
That's when you really get to the motherfucker. This shit is boring.
Yeah, but while I was doing the main quest, there's moments in the game where the main quest will stop and it's like, just go explore the city. Literally, the game tells you, go do collectibles.
There have been,
but you still don't get mad at that. You're like, oh yay, let's go do boring monotonous quest.
Well, it's because it's a means to an end.
Yeah,
like, it's. I'm doing this because if I do this, I get to play more of the story.
Yeah, no, honestly, you're right.
It's not I do this and there's nothing to do.
Yeah, no, it got to a point where the last time it tells you to do that, I didn't even do anything. I just web swung around a building for like 5 minutes. And then it was like, oh, next quest. And I was like, okay, because I got tired of it. But still, at that point, I wasn't to the point where I was like, this game is repetitive. I literally never said that until after I beat the main quest and was like, what should I go do? And then I did like half the Taskmaster missions and was like, okay, I'm bored. This is repetitive.
I think that might be the line in single player games, to where, because when you're doing side missions while you're doing the main story missions, you're still engaged with the story and shit. Yeah. Like, you still, and you run through it until you get to the end of the story mode, and you're like, okay, what do I do now? And all the missions you can do are repetitive as fuck. That's when that shit's like repetitive and bad.
And it hurts.
But you don't see it until like, it's the same thing with like the Saints Row the Third, I think. You get past that fucking story, it's like there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're just trying to you're just trying to 100% complete the game.
But even
then after you do that, the game is trash. If you 100% some shit, there's nothing else to do. You just might as well sell that shit or throw it away. If it's single player, like, there's no multiplayer.
There's nothing else to do.
Well, yeah, I would argue that that's the line That's the line if the game is good. Because, like, I doubt they made that Spider-Man game. They made it for the story. That was the whole point.
I agree.
I highly doubt they made it for, like, side missions.
Yeah.
Because otherwise the side missions wouldn't be, like, that badly executed. Because I wouldn't say badly thought out, because clearly that's what they wanted.
Yeah.
But, like, I doubt, like, if they were like, all right, we want this to be the total package, not the story package, then all those side missions would have led to something bigger. It would have given you a reason to do them.
Yes.
Aside from, like, I'm 100% the game. I'm going to collect all the suits. Whatever the fuck it is that you want to do. Or, like, I'm going to do this for my stream. That, like he was saying, that's the line. But...
Now, that kind of brings me to another question. Because, like, I agree with you completely. I'll bring up the two examples of, again, like Spider-Man and Assassin's Creed Origins, where they're both massive open-world games where you play as an overpowered hero existing within this world, right? Mm-hmm. But they had two different focuses. Well, you're right. Spider-Man focused on the story and the hero and the characters.
Right.
They did not focus on the world itself. They wanted you to feel like you're in New York, but at the same time, they didn't want you to focus on New York.
Yeah,
they wanted you to
Spider-Man
focus on Spider-Man, which is why you have boring-ass NPCs.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Whereas you have Assassin's Creed Origins, where they wanted you to focus on the world. They wanted you to see the fact that you are in Egypt. You are there. This is the world. And that's why that world feels living and breathing and alive and fucking amazing.
Well,
you know?
that's also how Grand Theft Auto got away with it.
You're right. They focus on the world. But that's my question.
Yeah.
Is a developer's focus an excuse for aspects of their game to be trash?
I mean,
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, I think.
You think that's a solid excuse?
If you're focusing on, if you want this aspect of the game to be perfect, like Mass Effect didn't really focus on graphics too much,
Clearly.
but the story is fucking amazing.
Well, with the exception of 2. 2 wasn't that bad.
Well, I mean, when you look at them all as a total 1 through 3,
Oh, well, yeah.
it's amazing. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
a flowing, beautiful story.
I focus on the first one
Okay.
because the first one,
The first one got
one's
me.
actually my favorite one.
The first one got me.
Even though like the graphics ain't that good, they repeat a lot of their. Every time you get in combat, they're screaming the same shit. If they're a biotic,
Yeah.
they're always screaming the same fucking shit. It's like it's comical, but it's still like
The story is what does it
It's
for
the
you.
story.
Yeah.
Like when you have
It's
to
a
choose
great
between
ass
like
fucking story.
Caden and Ashley. I was romancing Ashley, so Caden had to die.
Of course.
So,
I think everybody killed
but
Kate,
like,
man. That nigga
well,
was
no,
a
actually, I
bitch.
heard the opposite. They were like, nobody liked Ashley. Everyone's like,
Well,
she's
why is
ugly,
that?
blah blah blah. That's aside
goes-
from the point.
But here comes
We
kind of
we
like
can dive
a
into that because I'm a massive fan.
here goes kind of a sub question for my sub question. Essentially,
Questionception.
what about when games do it to a degree of the elements of their game that's trash is the genre within itself. Again, bringing up Spider-Man in the sense that is an open world game, but the open world aspect sucked. But it's because that wasn't their focus. Their
that.
focus was
Yeah.
the story.
Okay.
But it's like,
Yeah.
well, but how you gonna
Okay,
sell
I
me
get
an
what
open
you're
world game?
Yeah.
I still think it's an excuse, albeit not a good one, because it's like clearly that wasn't their focus. But because it's open, it's almost like it accidentally became an open world game. If that makes sense, it's
mean,
like
to a
it's
degree.
open, you're swinging around. You didn't really focus on it, but because it has all the basic elements of an open world game, you're an open world game, and they're like, okay, but we're focusing on the story, so.
I'm gonna just factor in like they didn't have to make it an open world game.
They didn't.
But if it wasn't an open world game, we'd immediately call that shit trash. We want the freedom to fly around, to swing
I
around the
agree.
city and all that
I
shit.
agree, but then I also disagree because apparently, what was it? Web of Shadows? Is it?
Yeah.
I think it's Web of
The
Shadows.
one where it was everybody was in that fucking game.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly which one it is, but there's one where you play as 3 or 4 different Spider-Mans.
Yeah, I think no, that is Shattered Dimensions.
Shattered Dimensions. Yeah, you play as 3 or 4 different Spider-Man from like different universes. It's not open world.
It's linear.
It's a linear story-based Spider-Man, but it's still one of the fan favorites. You know what I mean? So Spider-Man doesn't need to be open world. You just got to do it right. That's the thing. So
I can't comment on that because I never played.
well, I've actually never played it either.
I played the fuck
but I've
out of
seen
it.
it. I've seen enough
so,
of
like,
it. But yeah, so like
I liked it, but okay, don't get me wrong. It is one of my favorites. I hated the one that came after it.
yeah,
The one where it was just 2009. It was basically, it was literally the same game.
yeah, no, yeah, that's what people say sucks about that one.
It was a piece of shit.
But they took out Spider-Man Noir.
They took out like 3 other Spider-Mans. It was just regular Spider-Man in 2099.
Yeah, in 2099.
So when I played it, I didn't mind that it was linear, but there would be missions where it was like, because it was linear, I felt restricted in a way Spider-Man shouldn't. There were times where like I was forced to do a specific thing because it was the way the game was laid out, and I'm like,
okay,
that's cool, but I'm Spider-Man. That's like that's like playing a Batman game and they force you to only use like 3 of Batman's 5,000 skills.
Well, I mean, I would actually argue that for every Batman game where you had to do a linear mission.
Yeah, it like
sucked. You're exploring the city and then you do this mission and you're stuck in this condensed area. It was like, no, I'm fucking Batman.
Yeah, but like in those open world Batman games, when it was open world, you could choose how you took whoever you wanted out.
Yeah.
There were gadgets and all sorts of shit. So that's why even though it's not like the best open world experience, I still get the freedom of being like, yeah, I could do it this way, but I can swing however I want. It's more for Spider-Man than it is the open world. It's like Spider-Man in the open world as opposed to the focus is different, is what I'm saying.
What about a counterexample of, was it Superman Returns, the game?
I played it
for like Xbox 360, I think.
Who played that shit?
I did.
Of course.
It was okay.
Oh boy.
It was okay.
Are you serious?
Everybody's like, he just lost all his credibility.
Well, like, the reason I bring that game up is because it's a superhero game that was about the story, and the open world fucking sucked. There was not, like, there was less to do in this game than there is in the Spider. There wasn't even collectibles. Like, as Superman, you couldn't even destroy a building. It was garbage, but it was about the story.
I mean, they wouldn't want to give you. That's why Superman is such a wishy-washy character to use in anything, because he's so fucking strong. Yet you don't get the fucking.
You can never feel how strong
that
I don't think you can
ability
truly
that he
ever
actually
capture
has.
that.
They would have had to make it like so immersive.
What is it? Hulk
could
Ultimate Destruction?
Yeah.
Where you could
You
literally
literally,
destroy
like,
the
destroy
whole
buildings and
city.
shit.
Yeah. You could literally level the whole city.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
They got that right.
Yeah, they got that right. You know,
But how was the game though?
the story was garbage. Everything was, but that was the game was the exact opposite. Where in the sense that game focused on you being Hulk wreaking havoc. So then the city was great. You know, like civilians felt scared when they would run away from you. Ripping a car in half felt like ripping a car in half. Granted, back in the day. If you played this in today's, by
like,
today's standard, you're gonna be like, this game is garbage.
I think it's just.
But then and there, you were like, this is fucking Hulk. You know?
Yeah. I think what you're getting at is the difference between a good game and a great game.
Okay.
As far as like, if you focus on something and make it great and everything else is ass, then you're just stuck in the middle. To whereas like, if everything is fucking at least like better than average,
Yeah.
then you got a great game.
Well, yeah.
Because, like, I mean, there's games out there that have done that where they have whatever genre they are, they do their genre correct and great, but then every other aspect of the game is still great.
What games?
Like,
I was going to bring up actually one of the bad examples, which I didn't even play it because it was bad, but they from Mirror's Edge 1 to Mirror's Edge 2.
Oh, no, I agree.
Oh, yeah, that was
open
a total
world, and they were
fat,
talking
yeah.
about that shit was trash.
It was trash.
I thought it was a good idea to go open world.
They just
Because-
executed it poorly.
Yeah. That shit sucks, man.
No, yeah.
I think it
but like
could have been great.
a good example is, and it's not an open world game, but it's still, you know, it's an example, is Call of Duty World War, the one that recently came out.
Yeah.
That game is a first-person shooter, and it was fucking amazing. Best Call of Duty I've played in years. It had an amazing fucking story. And I mean, again, it's just a World War II story, so it's not really all that detailed, all that crazy. You know, it's not something that's gonna have you crying. Maybe the end might have you crying a little bit because they got a little bit real and started actually talking about like the concentration camps and all that.
Yeah.
But aside from that, like, it had a really good story. It had amazing fucking gameplay, decent mechanics. It was a solid first-person shooter, mind-blowing fucking graphics. Like, everything about this game was a good fucking game. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They picked their genre, they picked their focus, and yet still excelled at everything else. So if they can do it, why can't every other developer do that?
So I would say, I would say, this is gonna sound crazy, but I would say arguably it's easier to do with a shooter, because you don't really have to think about that much.
Well,
like,
I mean,
because with shooters it's just like, all right, pick a war, pick a time period, pick a war, pick some crazy event that happened, World War II. How many times has it been done?
A lot.
Over and over and over and over. So I can't give it that.
That same thing, though, is arguable for every genre ever. There's already basically... Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to comment on that because for FPS, you don't have as many animations to do.
No.
There's just a fixed camera. Like, you don't even have to see your own fucking body in the FPS, and we still give that a pass. Like,
You're right.
Yeah, so it's a weird unfair advantage because it's slightly easier to develop.
But still, though, every genre's criteria is already laid out. Open world games have been done, and a good open world game already has a bar. Mm-hmm. We already know what it requires to make a good open world game. So yeah, maybe with an FPS there's less actual required work. I give you that. Because it's like, you know, the literal work needed to be done is less. I don't have to animate as much. I don't need as much sound. I don't have to texture as much. I get it. But we still know what the criteria is. It's not like this is the first open world game ever made.
Yeah.
You know, we've already seen what a bad one is, and we've already seen what a good one
is.
Just do what it takes to be a good one.
Well, also though, I'm not saying it in like a per se defense, but like, this is like a complete. Has Insomniac done any other Spider-Man games?
No, I believe this is
like their first.
I believe this is their
first. If this is their first, it's a damn good first shot.
I mean, again, I still say like, Spider-Man's a great game.
Yeah, so I'm like,
failed at certain aspects.
It's not like they're gonna come out and be fucking the newest Zelda, which that is a perfect example of somebody rehashing the same shit over and over, but we still love it. Because if we want to be real, Zelda does the same shit. They're like, all right, well, we're just going to give you different items that do different things, but you solve them the same way that you would in every other Zelda title. In a sense. Like the way we go, the way we go about having you solve it is the same. But people praise it as like a fucking amazing game.
Yeah, I mean, about Zelda in general.
They're like, oh, this game is the shit. I'm like, we did that in Ocarina of Time. We did that in Twilight Princess.
Oh, okay.
I respect the franchise for being so big. It's just not my type of game.
I mean, no, I'll say with Breath of the Wild, they actually did something a little bit different.
Yeah, a little bit different.
Enough different to say different, if you will. Just enough to say enough. Because, like, one thing, a comment that I made while playing Breath of the Wild is
we
that...
all look back.
I heard something, man.
A comment that I made playing Breath of the Wild was that world felt empty and shallow.
Yeah.
But my defense to that is, I think the developers did that on purpose because that actually plays into the story.
Yeah, because it's Hyrule,
it's Hyrule 100-something years later. It's Ganon's already basically destroyed and killed everyone. The world is dying. That's the point. So for the world to feel dead, it's accurate.
Which I'm gonna say is kind of a cop out because in Ocarina of Time, it's like when you go back, everything's basically dead. It's like, oh, because Ganon ruled again. I'm like, way to rehash it. But okay, every other. I'm sorry, I'm about to go to rant because it's the same thing.
You're right. But like I said,
it's a very fine line. That's what I'm starting to like realize. It's a very fine subjective line.
And that's what I want to know. Like, what is that line? Where is the line between the two?
I think unless we got like a large consensus, it's largely subjective.
Yeah.
Largely. Unless we could like literally like say we post this and people are like, hey y'all vote. And like we get a large vote out of like some people, then I feel like we'd be able to find like some kind of line.
Yeah.
Because like you said,
50-50.
like you said, what that because I don't disagree with Spider-Man at all. I haven't played it. I've seen damn near enough of it to say I played it.
Yeah.
But like, there are other open world games that did it. I just named Breath of the Wild did it better.
Yeah.
Like, well, what else? There's some other. There's other games that have done it better, and
the
it's
thing
just,
about it is too. On top of that, depending on what your game is about, also kind of changes the rules of your genre. You know what I mean? So like we say open world game, but it's not just about being an open world game that dictates what your open world needs to have. It's literally what your game is about. A Spider-Man open world game is not going to have the same mechanics and gameplay as a Grand Theft Auto open world
or
game.
Skyrim, or,
You know, so like, granted, like in Grand Theft Auto, I can go rob a convenience store. You know, I can go play a fucking darts. Granted, it'd be cool and comical and funny if I could play darts in Spider-Man, but that's not something required. That's not something I look at and say that little aspect has made this game better.
Right.
Whereas in Grand Theft Auto, you do. Grand Theft Auto is essentially a life simulator.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At this day and age,
and
that's
people,
basically what it is.
And people don't want to admit that shit. You're basically playing Second Life.
Exactly.
I'm just saying it.
They could literally give you something like, oh yeah, now at your personal apartment, you have the ability to take out the trash. That would be fucking mind-blowing. You'd be like, what?
Y'all want to make fun of Second Life and call them freaks, but y'all buying houses and mobs and
you know
boats
what I
and
mean?
cars.
Because that's what that game's about. That game's literally about simulating real life to the extreme.
And I don't even play Second Life, but I'm like, at this point, anybody that bashes Second Life but plays Grand Theft Auto like religiously should shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Because you're doing the same thing.
So when I look at a Spider-Man game, again, I don't expect to be able to take out trash at my personal apartment because it's not a life simulator, it's a superhero simulator. But like, let me pick up a car. Spider-Man can pick up a car.
He can?
Why can't I pick up a car? Let me go into the subway. You know? In this game, you actually can go into the subway, but it acts as a fast travel hub. But maybe let me actually go into the subway, you know?
What's the point of that?
What, going into the subway or the fast travel?
The fast travel.
Honestly, I think they did it.
But wait, the fast travel via subway for Spider-Man.
Well, because
you should just be able to click somewhere on the map.
Well, you do. You don't have to go to the subway.
It's like
you
a
can just
little
click somewhere on the map, but it'll still do like a little cutscene of him on a subway train.
Spider-Man needs to
Now, my thing is though,
Because it's comical. That's his thing.
As a game mechanic, fast travel makes sense, but Spider-Man could probably web swing from point A to point B faster than the train.
Yeah, I mean, I would never use fast travel in a Spider-Man.
I didn't. I used it.
I don't know why.
I used it once or twice because I wanted to see it, but. And then one time I used it by accident because I saw the subway and I was like, oh, let's go down there. And when I went down there, it loaded the fast travel screen. So I was like, oh, okay.
Is he Peter in the train?
No, he's Spider-Man.
He's in his suit.
He's still in the suit.
Well, because it's comical.
It's comical. That's why it's goofy and it's funny.
Okay.
Like,
it's not meant to.
Yeah, so like there's one cutscene where he's like on the train and there's like a guy sitting next to him who's like on his shoulder sleep. Yeah, and Spider-Man's just like sitting there on his phone, and it's funny. You know what I mean? Like it's hilarious.
I give that a pass.
Again, like I want to actually go in the subway, or maybe like let me go in the sewers. You know, let me do that random little shit that Spider-Man as a character can do.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not just
you want the
if it got to the point,
experience.
Yeah.
Like, if you could walk down there and a train passes and you just stick on the train and ride it, like
that would be fucking dope. That would be
that
dope.
Shit would be dope. Then you have like a mini game where you got to dodge signs.
Right?
Come on.
So let me do the little monotony shit. That's what would make an open world Spider-Man game amazing.
Essentially, you want more freedom.
Essentially, I want the little details that make an open world game an open world game.
It's a thing about like making an open world game to where you have like this limited amount of freedom.
Yeah.
And you want like all the freedom.
I'm going to coin this 2.5D open world.
I mean, you're kind of right. Yeah, it's an open world because it's open, but it's not sandboxing.
It's still linear to a degree.
Yeah,
there's not.
Yeah. It basically it's so boring. It forces me to go in one direction.
Yeah,
it's
phantom linear.
I was gonna say that about Spider-Man 2, But in Spider-Man 2, you had all kind of shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
In Spider-Man 2, you
Not as far as,
actually
like,
could
the little-
sit
the
on
little-
the top of the train and write it.
Yeah.
oh hell yeah!
Like-
even though it was slow as fuck.
Yeah, it was dumb slow. but you could do it. You could
jump
do
on that
it.
shit.
Like,
And then, but I was gonna say they also had like those time trial missions, to where you'd have to swing and do whatever the checkpoint said.
Oh,
and shit
yeah.
got pretty fucking.
you know what I
hard.
mean? And like, granted, I guess I understand. Now, this is kind of something that we can argue left and right about. There's no actual like side heroes in this game.
Yeah.
And the reason
Really?
they did that, yeah, you don't meet up with anybody. And the reason they did that is because Insomniac was like, we want you to focus on Spider-Man.
Yeah,
We want
exactly.
this to be a Spider-Man story. And I get that. But Spider-Man as a character has friends.
Yeah.
He has tons.
He has
of-
tons. And then on top of that, he's based in New York, where basically every Marvel character in the history of Marvel, aside from what, a handful? Like, you know what I mean?
Now- Yeah.
Almost every Marvel character is based in New York. So that's why they always
I'm
cross
actually-
paths.
Surprised that they didn't, considering what the movies are doing right now.
Right?
Like,
Like,
I would have thought they would have.
I don't have, I'm not saying I want to play as the Fantastic Four,
Yeah, they could
but
just be
but
there.
they could just be there. That's it. Have them be there. The only Easter egg you get is the Avengers Tower. That's
Yeah.
it. That's the only Easter egg you get in this game, and there's no actual Avenger there. I literally crawled around the entire building because I was like, give me an Easter egg of like one window I can see Tony Stark
Yeah, like-
eating lunch or some shit. Give me just one little Easter egg. Didn't even get that.
That's
Don't even
funny.
get that, you know? Or let me see like the fucking stealth jet sitting on the fucking hangar bay of the Avenger Tower. Something. They didn't even give me that. All you got was a building with the letter A on it.
They might do it in the next one.
They probably
I mean, they
will.
may
And there
update it,
is
you never
DLC, so maybe in the DLC they'll add it in.
Well,
DLC 1, they're adding in Shadow Cat or Black Cat officially. So maybe then they'll, through DLC they'll add
They're
some
not
more.
actually in the game.
I mean, also
No, she's not actually in the
wow.
game.
Also,
She was in Spider-Man
arguably, the thing with Spider-Man 2 that's a big deal is no one can seem to get him right, in games and in media.
Yeah.
We've got technically 5 different Sony versions. Marvel's taking a crack at it, and then in the games, I lost count of how many games there were that people were like either completely turned on or completely turned off to. Like nobody can seem to nail him consistently.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not saying it's a good defense tool, but in like
Yeah.
quote unquote their defense, they're gonna be like, well, we want to get the character right before we fuck with anything else.
Yeah.
Because we can get the character right. I could throw all sorts of Fantastic Four and Jets and Easter eggs, but if my character sucks, you're just gonna complain that Spider-Man is garbage.
I mean, I'll
and
give
then
you
it's
that.
like, what are we to do with that? What are we to do
I'll
with
give
that?
you that. I will say it's hard to do certain characters and not even just comic book characters.
Yeah.
Whether it be anime, movies, books. It's sometimes hard to do certain characters because there's so much expected of that character.
Yeah.
In a Spider-Man world, I expect 1, an amazing Spider-Man. I expect 2, awesome Peter Parker. 3, a decent enough compelling story. 4, friends and family and awesomeness. You know what I mean? I do expect all that. You're right. I give you that. You're totally right. I expect you to give me a Peter Parker who's smart, but not too smart, but then who's...
Like, do you hear this laundry list?
No, you're right. You are totally right. Like, you expect way too much of this character because that's what the character is. And I guess blame it on, the 15, 20, 30 years of the character
Just being
existing and them just compiling what the character is.
Yeah.
You're right. But my argument is, it can't be that fucking hard because look at Deadpool. His movies did him justice. There's no argument there. His movies did
Well,
him
I'm not saying that
justice.
they don't do him justice, but Deadpool is a... How do I put this? This is gonna sound like... Fuck it. Deadpool is an easy-ass character to pull off.
No, he's not. He's got just as much going on as Spider-Man.
Yeah, but, Spider-Man has too many moral weird lines, whereas Deadpool is kind of like... He's so unhinged.
Well,
I'm not saying he's shallow as a character, but the shit that he does appeals to mass
But
variety of people.
Him as a character is a little bit easier to pull off, but his world is not. His world is got just as much going on as Spider-Man, and yet they did it right with him.
But
with Deadpool, we expect this, like, I don't give a fuck about nothing type of guy who can basically infinitely regenerate from nothing, who wisecracks, who's goofy, who's dumb, who has some kind of little random side story, who meets up with friends. You see the laundry list building here? Same exact thing. You see the laundry list building? I named just as many things as I did for Spider-Man.
But you did.
They did Deadpool right. Now, yes, we can comment and say, well, I wanted them to introduce this character and I wanted them to introduce this, but they still introduced enough to say that he met up with
I'm going to throw a
friends.
wrench in there. Deadpool was already based off a real life person. His personality was already fleshed out for him.
Every character is based on someone.
They didn't, but not like this dude was literally like they're like,
And
oh, it's Ryan Reynolds.
They actually didn't base the character on Ryan Reynolds. They based his appearance.
Whatever.
Only. The creator of Deadpool stated he literally did base his appearance on Ryan Reynolds.
I also
and the dog Sharp.
I also find it ironic though that they act pretty much the same. Either that's an extreme coincidence or they secretly did that shit. I don't. If they told me it was coincidence, I'd be like, fuck no, that's not a coincidence.
Ryan Reynolds has adapted over his years as an actor, and honestly, he's become Deadpool. Because if you look at early Ryan Reynolds, he's a comedian, he's goofy and he's funny, but he's never been to that extent. He's become Deadpool. He's become the character.
Yeah, but not like.
If you look at Ryan Reynolds 15 years ago.
Oh yeah,
or
no.
not 15,
He started
5,
as like
6 years ago.
He was the piece of meat that was show. That was
Yeah,
Ryan Reynolds.
exactly.
He was a piece of meat.
Now he's Deadpool. You get what I'm saying? So like, it's not so much coincidence that he is him. No, he became him.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I buy it.
It's the same thing like we say with
I don't
Robert.
know. I don't think I
It's the
can
same
buy
thing
that.
we say with Robert Downey Jr. and Benedict Cumberbatch. They both look like the hero they play, and their lives kind of were very similar to the hero that they play, aside from the fact that they're super powered. But mostly they became the hero. Not they just coincidentally look like them and also are them. The only one we can give that to is Nick Fury. But that's because that wasn't a coincidence, that was literally on purpose. Nick Fury was literally redesigned to be Samuel L. Jackson.
Wow.
Literally redesigned to be Samuel L. Jackson.
I'm not saying like when people write though, they gotta base it off of something.
No, you're totally right.
I'm not saying that they were like, oh, let's take a carbon copy. At some point they were like, wait, they kind of act alike. And they may not have consciously been like, we're gonna write the same, but somewhere in that shit, as a writer, as an artist, you borrow. That's what
you're right.
So it's like, that's why when it comes to him and Spider-Man, I'm kind of like, okay, because like Deadpool and Wade Wilson, I don't really separate the two. They're kind of like one and the same in the sense that like with Spider-Man and Peter Parker, they try to live different lives. Like Deadpool and Wade are like,
the
I'm
hero
the same
and the
guy.
man are the same character.
That makes it easier.
Deadpool doesn't live a double life.
No, he's just
at least not as intricately.
No, because
like we don't really see too much of Wade Wilson, whereas Peter Parker's story is as much about Peter Parker that it is Deadpool. But like I said, I already admitted the character itself is easier. But the world is what I'm talking about. Because when we see a Spider-Man game, we don't just want them to get the character right. We want them to get the world right as well. Because this game did get the character right.
Yeah,
it got Spider-Man correct. It got Peter correct. But it's the world that it did slightly bad on. Whereas Deadpool did excel in both. One, because it's easy. The character Deadpool's easier to get off.
Really easy.
But then the world is just as complicated.
The world, I don't know.
If anything, his world's a little harder to get by because he also has the politics of X-Men to deal with, which they did do in the movie.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to say.
Even complicated.
Here's what I'm going to say about X-Men. I'm 3 words: civil rights movement. That's not that hard. You're taught in school.
He's got more than
you're taught in school. They thought it's all over the news. Like that's not that hard to replicate.
They have way more going on than just
add some mutant powers.
Like they do have more than that.
That's like we go back in time and give Martin Luther King spider powers. It's basically like
no, he's right.
Like
he's right.
It's not that hard.
No, he's really right.
It's really not that hard.
An example.
No, he's right. Professor X is Martin Luther King, and Magneto is is Malcolm X.
Well, I can see what makes it more complicated because of the politics are like way deeper.
But when I say politics, I don't just mean political politics.
Well, yeah, as a
you know, I literally mean the world of X-Men.
But like that's
He's dealing with the world of X-Men, not just mutants or basically let's make them slaves. Not just that aspect. You know what I mean? It's the whole world of X-Men that they involved them in. The whole like becoming a mutant and learning your abilities, and the whole Professor X world and all of that good stuff. You know what I mean? They incorporated that world enough to be like, this is part of Deadpool's world, and they captured it correctly.
Right.
But even still, even if you want to say it is as simple as the civil rights movement, they still captured it very good.
It's not that hard when it's everywhere.
It's just because something is everywhere, don't make it easy.
It may as well be.
Motorcycles are everywhere, riding one ain't easy.
Actually, it's not that hard. I'm serious.
Okay, I want to see you get a motorcycle license next month.
Next month?
I'll pay for it too.
How much is it?
It's only $30.
Do not tempt me.
I will pay for it for you.
Okay.
I want to see you get a license.
If
riding a motorcycle is literally the same as actually driving a stick shift. It's just all the gears are in different places.
it's in your pedal.
But it's the same thing. You have to hit the clutch at the right time. But it's not something anybody can just pick up and do. The motorcycles are everywhere, but it ain't for everyone.
You can make it for everybody.
Like,
but that's what I'm saying. Like, I get it to a degree. I just think it's just like, all right, for the little bad that Spider-Man did, it's like people are hyperly critical. It's like, let us get the character right first. Because now I'm kind of like, well, if that's the case, fuck it, I did my job. Fuck what y'all think. Look, I got the character right. The character wasn't butchered. I'm praised for it. I'll add the little shit later. Like, yes, Deadpool got it right the first time. They were lucky because they knocked it out the ballpark the first time.
yeah.
Spider-Man came out the first time, and second time, amazing. Third time, garbage, amazing came out. Amazing 2 came out. We don't know. Fucking Homecoming, garbage, but we like it because it's a new generation. Like, Deadpool was like, 1, this is fucking awesome. 2, this is even more fucking awesome. So it's like easier.
But then
like,
I would argue that makes Spider-Man easier because we've seen so many people fail.
clearly,
You know what I mean?
Learn.
It's literally like, I watched you take this test and I saw what answers you put and they were wrong, so I'm just gonna put the other answer. You get what I'm saying? Like, we've seen Spider-Man fail.
The other wrong answer.
The other right. You know what I'm saying? We've seen so many people fuck up. You should know how to do it right by now. Whereas Deadpool, the guy got it right the first time. We ain't seen nobody fuck up yet. Well, technically we have, if you want to count X-Men Origins.
All right, we don't talk about.
We don't talk about.
We don't talk about. We don't talk about katana wrists.
But that wasn't a dedicated Spider-Man. That wasn't a dedicated Deadpool movie. You know what I mean? With dedicated Deadpool movies, they did it once, got it right.
Now we're arguing the movie, but as far as the games go, there is no argument there.
Same thing. We've seen people fail with those games. Deadpool
has yet to have
and his game was actually also really good.
Really good, rave reviews all over the news, selling out in Japan and shit.
I mean, it wasn't a AAA title, so it didn't get as much publicity.
It should have.
It wasn't a AAA title.
That's good.
If you were a Deadpool fan and you played the Deadpool game, I promise you'll say, this was a good Deadpool game. But it wasn't a AAA title, so it didn't get as much airtime as a AAA title.
That's also...
It was an under-the-radar game that the people who played it were like, this was great.
That's also the thing, too, though.
He had one game did great, had one movie did great.
Because Deadpool just now is becoming, like... Now that the universe is hitting movies and, like... Because he was popular underground. But now he's, like, every the fuck where.
Well, yeah.
When he gets to, like...
That's what happened.
If anything, that makes him harder to do right. Because now the people have an expectation.
Now that Marvel is so popular, they can come out with any fucking body they want.
Yeah.
And that shit's gonna explode.
But, like I said, when things get more popular, that makes them harder to do right. Because as they get more popular, people have more expectations.
Well, that's why I'm like, cut him some slack. Like, I get it. Like,
no, you're right.
I give some slack. Like, that's why I'm like, Deadpool's easier.
Like I said, like I'm not necessarily holding it against Insomniac for not involving any other heroes in the Spider-Man world. You know, I'm not necessarily holding it against them. It would have been amazing if they did. And if they did do that, I would give them even more praise than I'm already giving them. but it was something that I looked at and said, well, you guys didn't do it. What's going on here?
What the hell's going on back there?
I just burped and blew it out. I wouldn't.
Oh, it's like he turned. I was like, look, we got to get out of this house. Like, we all have to run. Start the car. No, it's that's the thing. Like, obviously, I haven't played it to be like whatever, but it's more so like as a Spider-Man fan, I've seen the character butchered so much I could care less if the Fantastic Four show up. If Spider-Man's not right, what the fuck is the point of them? To me,
No, I agree.
You guys showed up. That's cool from a game point, but my Spider-Man's garbage, so I'm not engaged anymore.
Yeah.
Like, that Easter egg alone isn't enough to keep me engaged. It's a bonus.
Yeah.
It's like a cool little bonus. But like,
But I mean that in the sense of like just formatting his world.
oh yeah,
correctly,
like
you know?
like I said,
Not
in the
so
open,
much an Easter egg, just creating the world of Spider-Man.
in the open world sense, I would agree. Like, it would have been better if, say, they added them, right? To even add more expectation, if I'm going that route, I wouldn't just want to crawl up the wall and fucking see Tony. I would want Spider-Man to make a snarky ass comment.
No, you're right.
Shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if I just see them, then it's like, all right, they're there. But usually Spider-Man, they
Let's
have
say
some kind
something.
of
Yeah, exactly.
They have some
He'd
kind of
say
back and
something
forth.
funny. You know what I mean?
You know, and I don't know if that goes into the budget or you got to pay the voice actors to say some extra shit, or I don't know what goes into all of that. But like, I can see how it failed as an open world, but that just clearly wasn't their goal. They're like, here's some buildings.
In your
Go
opinion,
see." You know?
in your opinion, because my goal as a game developer is this, I'm allowed to be lazy anywhere else.
No,
I mean, I think
You're allowed to-
wait. Wouldn't that be on like the director of the game to say we're gonna put this much money?
You're right.
into
No, you're
this?
right. It's publishing, and it's more complicated than simply.
Right.
This is my goal.
But
I don't
we could
wanna
say
do
like
that. Yeah.
the developer as
Yeah.
a one person.
but I would not
Yeah.
say lazy, because lazy.
I mean, that's what I'm gonna look at it as.
Lazy. So if it's like 1% less than 100 is lazy.
Yeah. Because at some point you decided not to do that for whatever reason.
What if you couldn't?
Well, okay, you couldn't. Which is why we did just say it is more complicated than that. We did. But if I'm gonna blanket term it, I'm gonna say it's lazy. If I'm gonna blanket term it.
I'll agree with you on that because if you did want to work, if you wanted to actually work on it, you could have
done
put
it.
more time into the game.
No, I don't disagree. I just wouldn't use the word lazy.
Like,
I would say like I don't even know, but lazy's strong.
Lazy
It's
seems harsh. I
That's
don't
one of them.
wanna say that.
Yeah, that's one of them. Like that's
Well,
like
again-
you walk up and I'm like, look, I can call you black or a nigger. Pick.
you're right. You know, I agree. Like,
harsh.
lazy isn't the correct term. It's just the term I personally want to use.
Yeah, it's
for
like
this.
the blanket because
Yeah.
you're like you guys could have added
You,
that. I don't disagree. I argue that with a lot of different games.
Yeah, like I look at it like this, like, okay, you have the Shadow Cat missions, right?
Black
Where
Cat.
or Black Cat, fuck. You have the Black Cat
Look at
missions.
that like
Shadow Cat
DC.
person.
I think it's DC.
You have the Black Cat missions, right? Where, you know, you find her little areas where she's been chilling, and you find the little areas that she's, but every time you go there, there's a little recording of her voice that you listen to. So they already had a voice actor in set and recorded her lines.
Right.
Why couldn't one of these fucking lines have an animated character in
Oh, it's
there?
fucking Kitty Pryde,
Yeah.
not Shadowcat.
Yeah.
I had to look it up.
But no, and the thing that really fucks it up is the very first mission you do, they show the character. So then they already fucking modeled it. It's already in the game. Why couldn't you give me an actual full animated cutscene with it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That to me is lazy. At some point they were like, no, we don't have time to animate her, just do another voiceover.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
The director may come down and be like, "You trying to extra? No, you better cut
Again,
that."
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's far more into this that I don't know about. Very, very, very possible. But that's the mindset I'm in right now.
In that case, the director is your fault.
Yeah.
Is your fault.
I mean, it's always the director.
Well, because actually 9 times out of 10, I feel like most people that are in developing, especially knowing the grueling hours and no life you have, want to put as much love into the game as they can.
Exactly.
It's not up to them at the end of the day. Like, you could be like, oh, I want to add this extra building. And the director's like, no, that's not in the budget. Or, no, we don't have time.
I mean, you're right. I agree. That's true.
I'm not disagreeing. I just wouldn't use lazy. Just only because I would only use lazy if it was like the whole team unanimously was like, nah, we're not gonna do that.
I mean, what
Like
if they
because
did?
then it was like,
What if they did?
Okay, then it's lazy. Then it's lazy.
Because you never know. Maybe these motherfuckers did.
Like
They
if they were
probably-
all in the room and like, you guys want to put these in here? Nah, all right, then y'all being fucking lazy. But if it was like, oh, we want to put these in here, but then some other circumstance was like, well, we can't. Then it's like, it wouldn't say lazy. It's just like we just couldn't.
Yeah.
But then again, my brain just went to like why they don't make shit split screen in games, and their excuse is it uses too much processing power. I'm like bullshit. But
Right?
what?
Like
but
fucking
okay.
fucking Elix was like, oh, we're not gonna make our game multiplayer because the game engine can't use multiplayer. Then use a different fucking game engine.
Right, or when they say graphics, but the graphics look like this fucking thing I'm holding,
Right.
not shit. And it's like, clearly your graphics are ass.
Like, come on now. Like, if you're gonna sell me a lame ass excuse, sell me a good lame ass
Right?
excuse.
Like, make me feel bad for questioning you.
Right?
I mean-
Make me feel bad. Like,
Personally, I wouldn't take any excuses for not putting split screen or multiplayer in it.
you're right. In today's day and age, you have
Come on,
no
bro.
excuse.
There really
The only
isn't.
excuse you have is like Sony, and you're like, we're trying to create the perfect single player. Like, we designed this game to be like God of
Yeah.
War. If God of
Yeah.
War was co-op, I'd be mad at them.
I don't
like,
care
why
if
the
you have a
fuck?
fully single player game. I can accept that.
Yeah,
But-
but don't give me some perfect ass game again like Elix, where overall that game's actually not that good. But when you look at it conceptually,
that shit's a garbage.
oh yeah, like the animations are like really stiff and clunky and blocky. Animation, like the game's graphics weren't that great. Like the game is actually kind of garbage. But when you look at the game conceptually, you're like, this would be perfect if I could have a friend.
Yeah.
But their
if you could
excuses-
look at a game
Like,
and there's like any kind of concept to where if you could play
Yeah.
with somebody else, it would be a better game.
Yeah.
then there's
They
no
should
excuse. Or
put that
fucking
shit in
Agents
there.
of Mayhem. That's what y'all fucking get your game not selling and being garbage. Because you didn't fucking add multiplayer. How do you create
Yeah, I
a game
don't-
where it's explosive, crazy, and literally call it Mayhem? Literally call your game
Yeah,
Mayhem,
they did.
and then you make your game the exact definition of the word Mayhem, and then not let me do it with a friend.
Did you see his face?
Yeah. It was so bad.
Like,
Let me backtrack. Spider-Man, I love you, but fix your open world. Next patch.
I'm sorry,
Next
I'm about
game.
to start a
I don't
new
think
fucking
that's- I don't
tangent
think-
right now. Because
Yeah.
Agents of Mayhem
I was gonna say
royally
that because
pissed me off.
that's Volition. They made
Well,
Saints Row.
honestly,
Saints Row was
look,
fucking co-op.
Yes!
we're already
So
an
why
hour
the
in.
fuck
We
not?
can switch topics at this point. We've exhausted
Okay,
the first one.
the
we
new
just
topic.
naturally switched.
The new topic is multiplayer games and what games should have them.
All right, motherfuckers, I gotta do this every time. If it looks like it should be split screen, make the bitch split screen or multiplayer. If your graphics are garbage, don't blame the graphics. My fucking system is better than my computer. Okay? You have the processing power. Don't bullshit me. That's the one I hate the most. That's the one I hate the most.
My thing is, split screen, I kind of get it, because a lot of games, you think it'll work split screen, but if they actually split screened it, it wouldn't be as good. So, but my thing is online multiplayer. That one virtually has no excuse. Again, Agents of Mayhem. You have like 15, 20 characters. Each character was actually sizably fucking unique. You have this large open world, and the game requires a fucking internet connection. What?
Also, wait.
Why?
Let me go back.
I don't know. How do you have a single player game that requires an internet connection?
Let me go back for a second. You said, mind you said if it was split screen, I didn't say it doesn't work. It's work. You said it might not be as good, but it works.
Well, no, my thing is like some games actually won't, like, it just doesn't work. Like, you'll put the game split screen and it's like, this is garbage. I don't want to play this.
Just
one.
get a
I
big
think-
ass TV.
wait.
or-
There's some,
Yeah,
not
that-
all. There's some.
I'm just gonna say if they can make Halo split screen and you
Thank
can be
you.
two Master Chiefs,
Thank you.
you can be
Thank
two
you.
Master Chiefs.
Thank you. Thank you.
He's
There's only one Master Chief. When you play co-op, you're two fucking Master Chiefs.
Which is too much. Which is too much.
He said two Master cheats, but he's right. No, okay, I'll give you that.
Split screen in pretty much anything. We're gonna give that shit a pass because it's more fun to play with somebody
you're
else.
right. You're right.
We gonna give it a pass.
Okay, I'll give you that.
But y'all need to stop fucking up with that internet connection, but we can't play with people.
Right?
You either give me an offline mode or let me play with
My
friends.
thing is, if your shit is a single player game and can only be a single player game, I don't want no updates. I don't want no internet connection.
Yep.
I don't want nothing. I want to play this game offline and never need to connect to the internet ever. Because if this game ever needs to get on the internet, there's no excuse why I can't connect to my friend. There's no fucking excuse.
I feel that.
Cause it's not me.
Oh, because the game engine can't handle it, then you shouldn't be fucking using that game engine.
Okay, explain to me how the game engine couldn't handle it.
I mean, I don't even know per se. I mean, because I know things like, I know about like Unity, Unreal, and like, you know, the public engines. I don't have access to like Ubisoft's engine or like, you know, like their in-house proprietary engines. Elix is a custom-made proprietary engine like that they use.
Yeah,
my thing is y'all shouldn't be using it no more. They used it for the game they made prior to Elix, and that game's like 9 years old. Why are you still using this old-ass fucking outdated engine?
God damn.
Because it broke.
Like, okay, maybe you don't have the time and the resources to create a new engine. Then buy rights to fucking Unreal.
Yeah, he's right. Y'all lost. Checkmate.
And don't say Unreal can't do it, because like 60% of all games are made in Unreal, and you'll swear these two games are completely different games because they utilize the game engine differently.
He's right.
You get what I'm saying?
He's absolutely right.
You have fighting games made in Unreal. You have racing games made in Unreal. You have first-person shooters in Unreal. You have RPGs in Unreal. That game engine can sizably do anything and do it fairly well. It's just about your fucking programmers utilizing it the correct way. That's it. And here's the honest truth about games in general. Here's a honest fact. You tell us you're holding your game back and you're setting it back, we will be upset, but we will praise you when you give us gold.
Yes,
that is an honest fact.
Because it's worth the wait.
It's worth the wait. If you set a game back, you tell me, hey, this game's going to come out next March, and we're like, okay, great. And then, like, January rolls around, and you're like, hey, this game's not ready yet. We're going to set it back another year. Yes, you're going to get us on the internet raging and cussing you out. But then a year from now, when you give us gold, and you say, yeah, we held it back because this aspect of the game wasn't ready, but now it's ready and it's good, we're gonna fucking suck your dick. Like, we're gonna fucking praise you.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the honest to God truth.
But
Especially if fucking Rockstar got away with that shit.
Right?
With the not only the first online mode, but then the next gen shit. And then the fucking the PC shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's the honest truth. Set your game back if it needs more work. Because I get it. The reason they probably use the old engine at Elix is because they're a fairly small team. They're not like a super big team, and they're comfortable with that game engine. They know how to use it. I get it. Well, then tell me that Elix isn't coming out for 3 years and spend the first year and a half getting used to a new game engine.
Well, yeah, because
learning the ins and outs.
If you don't adapt, you fall off.
Exactly.
It's just that simple.
Elix was a crap ass game because it's in a crap ass game engine that can't handle shit. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I wanted to like Elix. I looked at it, and you can even ask Adrian. I showed him this and was like, Adrian, I want this game.
I said it was garbage flat out.
Yeah, and I was like, no, Adrian, just give it a chance. Just give it a chance. It could be good. As soon
as I saw the first animation, I was like, this is shit.
But no, that game was shit. That game was garbage. It was garbage. Why? Because they're using an outdated engine.
Yeah, that shit. It just looked ugly. It looked like it was just like, why the fuck am I looking at this? Like, I'm wasting retina energy. If that's
even if you don't want to use Unreal, use fucking Unity. Unity is fucking amazing too nowadays. You know, like Unity 1 and 2 is, you know, a little crappy. The most you could get out of Unity 1 and 2 was fucking Limbo. That like 2D platformer game. That was the most you could get out of early Unity.
You don't like Limbo?
But nowadays, even Unity is a fucking amazing game engine. I'll put it to you like this. Apparently, Unity and Unreal are outshining the Crytek engine, or the Crysis engine. That's how good those game engines are getting now.
Yeah.
They're outdoing the game engine that was originally said to be the best.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like you use a public engine, you know? You use an open source engine. That's all you gotta do.
Well,
Going back to the whole multiplayer thing, Have y'all played Overcooked?
I love Overcooked.
Not all
That's
the way.
that
my
game is
shit.
Jerome,
That shit is
You should
fantastic.
download Overcooked. Like it is a.
That shit is
The
great.
problem is,
There's no online multiplayer.
yeah, it's all
It's
couch.
only local.
It's only couch.
That
Yeah,
licks
but I
ass.
think that's because it's is it on PlayStation and all that?
It's on everything.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Because
it's
I
on
thought it
everything.
started on Nintendo, right?
No, I think it moved to
think so.
Nintendo.
Because I thought it was Nintendo first and then went to everything else. Because that's the argument I'll say for games that don't have network or online capabilities that they started on Nintendo. Because Nintendo isn't an online company.
Yeah.
After they're just now inventing an online, like an
Yeah,
actual
an
online
actual
community.
infrastructure.
They've had online capabilities before, like with the Wii, but it wasn't an actual infrastructure. It was that individual game created a network. But now Nintendo's actually creating an online infrastructure. So now their games will...
And you gotta pay monthly.
Yeah.
Nintendo just outdated, bruh. Like, in every aspect.
No, you're right. They're kind of behind everywhere.
I mean-
they're behind, but then at the same way, they're like excelling greatly.
Like I've said,
Because the
Yeah.
Switch is phenomenal.
I just think they
Nintendo.
got them fanboys, bro.
Nintendo
Them
took
Nintendo
one-
boy.
Nintendo.
But Nintendo took one thing. They're like, look, we're gonna come out with 1,000,000 Marios, but we're gonna master how this game works. Zelda's, we're gonna master how this shit
Yeah.
works,
Oh, I
and
get
then we're
that.
gonna strike gold. And for the past years, there's been nothing but gold because
I'm
they
gonna say
took the
this:
same
they're,
thing.
They're
Fucking-
never. It's like they pull all of their fucking developmental tools and put it into the next Mario game. Every other game that comes out for Nintendo is trash and nobody's talking about. Like if they coming out, if Nintendo is making some shit that they want to be big, everything goes into
Yeah,
that
but
shit
like,
for like a year.
When you tell me fucking Mario Odyssey got Game of the Year
Yup.
over Horizon Zero
Yup.
Dawn,
Yup.
Yeah.
I was like, Nintendo, you now have my credits. You now have my respect,
Now,
Nintendo. Forever.
and that's
They,
them.
like,
That's them
they know what
deciding.
they're doing when it comes to like
Oh,
their
yeah.
fucking Mario
Bread and butter games, yup.
They know.
they know what they're doing.
They're like, look, y'all, we were the ones that got your parents to play games. So what the fuck changed you?
right? We're
Like-
the reason your parents bought you this console.
Without us, you wouldn't be playing this. It's like,
Like,
all right, calm
yeah.
down. I get it. Like, I respect you now. My bad.
Anything past that is like, what are you doing, Nintendo? Like,
Well, because Nintendo, they're smart. They're like, we're gonna take our biggest IPs, like you said, pull all of our resources into them, and it's almost, I dare I say, it's almost like they're not trying when they do, because like you said, when Odyssey beats Horizon, who like clearly they put work into that game.
Horizon is a fucking
Like they put
great
work, but
game.
Nintendo's like, oh, here's Mario again, but with a little bit of different things, and we've tweaked them, maybe better graphics, whatever.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, again, I'm not hating on Odyssey when I say this, but the only thing about Odyssey that's actually unique comparative to any other
the
Mario
hat.
is the hat trick.
Yeah.
The fact that you could throw the hat. But other than that, the core gameplay of Mario Odyssey is the same as Mario 3D World.
isn't that like? Doesn't that change the entire?
No, you're right. And that's where we're getting
why,
into.
literally
yeah.
That's where we're
made it
getting into my
interact.
conversation earlier. The difference in a game feature and a game mechanic.
Yeah.
That hat is a mechanic.
It
It changes the whole gameplay. Like,
because you can literally you can use it on anything in the game pretty much.
basically, and then on top of that, there were stars, or not stars, there are moons put in places that the developers thought that we would not figure out how to get to ever, and people just figured out how to get to it by using the hat. Because you can throw the hat and then dash to it and then super jump off of it, then pull it
that.
back and throw it again, and people have just been mastering that shit and
I've
getting
seen
the
that shit.
areas in the game that you're not supposed to get to.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Bam, there you go.
that one mechanic.
That's a game mechanic. Whereas game features don't do much. They just kind of augment the game a little bit, but they don't really change the way you inherently play.
No, they're just little side things you get to do.
You know what? I immediately thought of a Deus Ex when you talk about that shit, because it's an RPG, and as you progress, you
chair.
unlock all kind of new
I need to
shit.
see it.
Go grab yourself one of
Sit
them.
right here, nigga. I need something with a fucking. I need something with a backrest after sitting on that motherfucker.
That's just for laying.
I just need to find somewhere to put my damn legs. Sorry, we had to readjust.
I'm laying the fuck down.
Don't go to sleep now.
It's 6:14. I'm still hungry. I haven't sleeping yet.
In Deus Ex, it's the same shit. You either sneaking or you fucking guns blazing everybody, but you unlock new fucking features for your character and shit, and it kind of changes the way you go about doing shit in the game.
But it doesn't change.
Yeah, but it doesn't change like the core gameplay, or does it?
Because if it changes the core gameplay, then it does. Then it's the mechanic.
Because like when I say that, what I'm getting at is like, okay, like I said, Super Mario Odyssey, aside from the hat, has very similar gameplay to Super Mario 3D World, right?
Right.
Without the hat, you look at an obstacle and you say, okay, I'm going to jump here, and then I'm going to jump here, I'm going to jump here, and then I'm going to kill that enemy and jump here, right? Or where with the hat, you're like, I'm going to jump here, then double backflip, throw the hat, capture that enemy. Then while I capture that enemy, I'm going to run over here, use this enemy to kill this enemy, then jump out of this enemy, run over here, double front flip off of my hat. Like, you see how it's like completely different?
Yeah.
Whereas a game feature, again, I'm sorry to keep bringing up Spider-Man, but the MJ missions, halfway through, they add the taser. Where without the taser, you were like, okay, that enemy's going to turn around and I'm going to walk past them. Whereas with the taser, you're like, that enemy's going to turn around and then I'm going to tase him. You see how that's not really different at all? You get what I'm saying? Like, that didn't really change much.
Yeah.
It didn't really change anything about, like, what you did. You know?
I guess it depends on which aspect you talk about it. Because, I mean, it has, like, sneaking missions to where you can tase somebody or not tase somebody. And then they also have, like, augments to where, like, you'll get, like he has metal arms and shit, so you'll get a buff to your arms to where you can lift heavy objects and shit, to where there was maybe a vent right there, so you can go in the vent and go around the enemy and shit. Like, it's all kind of explorative options like that you can unlock.
Okay, so then it does, to a degree, actually change the style, the format
like
of the game. Yeah, no, it does. Okay.
It changes, like, the mission that you're gonna do.
Yeah, okay, so then to that argument, I would say a lot of those probably are mechanics, not features. Because they, like you said, like, without that arm augmentation, I wouldn't be able to use that vent.
Exactly.
So
you would have to take another path. Or
exactly.
Find
So then to that degree, I will say that is mechanic, not a feature. Because, like, I've noticed, even, like, with mechanics, one mechanic can carry a game if it's a good enough mechanic.
Mario
Like,
Odyssey.
again, Mario Odyssey. That one mechanic carries the game. Whereas a feature, I have to keep giving you new features every 2-3 levels. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Excuse me. A solid explanation of that, and you will probably agree, is the Soul series. And I say that in the sense of the weapons. Dark Souls, Bloodborne, all those. The weapons. The weapons aren't like, they're not new mechanics, they're new features. Yeah. Because you might use that weapon for the entire game because that weapon is broken and overpowered. Mm-hmm. But you don't use it because the mechanic of how that weapon works actually carries the game and makes the game more fun. You don't. You use it because it's broken. But every time you get a new weapon, you don't really think, oh, well, let me fight differently now. No, you still basically fight the same fucking way. The gameplay still flows the same way. It's just a different weapon now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Pretty much. That's why.
Are you talking about going from one game to the next game? Or just as that game progresses?
As that game progresses, like any Souls game singularly. Not like Dark Souls 1 to Dark Souls 2. Yeah. Just Dark Souls. Like, if I'm playing Dark Souls, let's say 3, and I start the game with a shield and a longsword, and I'm running around with my shield and my longsword and I'm fighting with a specific, like a specific way. The way I encounter enemies is a specific way. You know what I mean? But then let's say I decide to switch and I'm using a greatsword. Maybe my combat changes a little bit because my shield has slightly better defensive properties than the greatsword, but overall the flow of the game doesn't change. I'm still fighting the same way I essentially would with a different weapon.
Right.
But that's why that game gives you new weapons virtually every level. Because whether you use that new weapon or not, it's like, bam, here goes something new. Bam, here goes something new. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Versus a mechanic, they'll give you a mechanic damn near at the beginning of the game, and you'll keep this mechanic 90% of the game. Because that mechanic changes the flow of how the game works.
I feel you on that. It's kind of like giving Batman, well, I guess he always has a grappling hook. But if he didn't have a grappling hook, then you gave a motherfucker grappling.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now instead of having to like climb up a building, I can
just
zip
grapple
line,
that shit.
which is completely different, you know?
Yeah.
Because if I had to climb up the building, I have to be like aware of enemies looking at me and where they're walking and shit like that. But if I could zip line now, I don't gotta worry because I can move faster than he can look.
Yeah,
You know what I
pretty
mean? Stuff like that. And that's honestly a thing with Spider-Man where like there's moments where you're stealthing around and you're kind of walking and dashing and it's one flow of gameplay versus ziplining. An enemy will look at you and you'll just instantly zip line away from him and it's like bam, I got away. I don't even gotta worry about him.
He's like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, he's like, what happened, you know?
That's the I can't go back because I already told you what I don't like about that. The stealth system in Spider-Man.
I mean, that's like a lot of games though. Stealth is a very
I don't like any game where you're supposed
fictional
to be,
thing in games.
Yeah, where you're supposed to be sneaky and you're sneaky until you knock them out. Because when you knock them out, it's like BAM, and then you get this whole like cinematic noise. I'm like, well, didn't the whole place just hear me knock him the fuck out?
The thing that got me about Spider-Man that I didn't understand is if you're like sitting on a light pole and then you like web take down somebody, he like grabs them with the web, pulls them towards him, and then hangs them on the light pole.
But the enemies don't react to them?
Yeah, it's like light poles are only what, 20 feet tall?
Yeah.
So somebody hanging from a light pole, I could see them without even looking up. I'd see them hanging, but they just don't see it.
Well, that's the thing.
They walk right by it.
But Batman got that right because you would hang somebody and they'd
if
be
you
like,
hang
oh
somebody in
shit.
Batman and they see that shit, they like Batman.
They don't even have to see it. They notice that the other guy is gone.
Oh yeah, true that. True
They
that.
don't even have
They
to
be
see it.
This nigga not on his patrol.
Right.
What the fuck is going on?
I love when they radio and they're like, hello? Hello? Batman got him.
Yeah,
Batman got him.
Batman got him. No. And the thing is, this game did that half-assedly. Because in this game, they'd be like, hey, Charlie, are you there? Charlie? Charlie? Spider-Man must have got him. And then just continue normal.
Damn.
Not go on high alert or
then
anything,
go
just
into-
continue normal.
All right, well,
Wow.
Oh, I guess Spider-Man's got him. Okay, he's gone.
Yeah, I saw that too. I was watching somebody stream. They were doing like a stealth mission, and it was exactly like Batman. Whereas like you're sitting on somewhere high,
Like a perch,
and you
yeah.
hang them up, and they're essentially like dealt with. But the other enemies wouldn't react to
Yeah,
that shit.
there was even times where like I would zip line takedown, where it's like you zip line to the enemy and hit them once and it just knocks them out, and I wouldn't even move the body. I would just leave the body there, and then another enemy would just walk past the body like it wasn't shit.
Damn.
Like he doesn't even notice his friend is just knocked out.
I mean,
Whereas again in Batman, the moment they see that body, the whole facility is on high alert.
But in Batman, that mechanic.
Exactly. No, you're right. You're right.
That
That was a game mechanic.
And
It
this game
changes
is
the
more-
way you play.
And this game is more of a feature.
Of a feature. Like,
The
there
only
you
thing
go.
about this, yeah, like, so it's, I don't
Because, like,
know, man.
in Spider-Man, you have, like, the Spidey sense, where if you click the joystick, it does, like, a little pulse wave. It tells you if an enemy is safe to take down, meaning, like, another enemy would, like, see you, right?
oh okay.
If it's safe to take him down, you don't even think about it. You just take him down, that's it. But in Batman, even if nobody sees you take him down, you still think about taking him down, how you're gonna take him down, where you're gonna put the body, like, you think about what enemy you're gonna take down immediately next, just in case.
Yeah.
You think about how many gadgets you got.
You pray to God you don't hit the wrong button and do the head smash
Yo.
that alerts everybody.
Yo, like, you think about everything in that game, like. And that's the difference between a game mechanic and a game feature. Like,
Yeah, like that mechanic. If Batman played like the Spider-Man and stealth, it wouldn't be a Batman game
it wouldn't.
at all, in the slightest.
Yeah. And then, but we can get away with a Spider-Man game not being as stealthy because Spider-Man isn't, like, he does stealth, but most of his career is going head first,
just
beating
going
people.
in.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
going
like
in.
I'm fucking here in
You know?
blue and red
Where,
spandex.
where Batman's MO is to be stealth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
his trademark is you look away, and when you look back, I'm just going.
So of
I'm
course they
gone.
put more emphasis into that AI.
Right,
development.
Exactly.
Which we talk about how the fuck he disappeared that fast with that long ass cape.
I don't know. One thing I've never got is like when he's on the top of a building, where does he zipline to? Because you know that's what he did. He ziplined somewhere.
Yeah.
But like, where did he zipline to for
sometimes-
me to not see him? And how did you not hear the little of the zipline gun, like shooting.
Oh, yeah.
He has a special one that just don't make
A
noise.
silence.
Because you know
fucking
he has a
zipline.
gadget for every situation.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
knew you thought those thoughts, so I thought about this thinking it. That's
That
Batman.
shit has to shoot though, man.
Like,
Or he's old-fashioned rope. You can't really hear it. He's like, I don't want him to hear me. And sometimes
Or
he'll
he
just
does-
walk off the edge and just...
or he does like we said, where he didn't actually leave, he just hid somewhere.
Oh yeah,
To make-
until you were like, left
he
the room.
just jumped on the other side of the table or something.
with the smoke.
Because it's like I get it, it's Spider-Man's MO, but sometimes you really question like,
You Batman?
or yeah, what did I say, Spider-Man?
You said Spider.
It's Batman's MO to be stealth. I get, but sometimes you really question like how. Where the fuck did you go?
I wonder if there was a time that like he got stuck in the window trying to get out.
I know, right?
Like
His
he
cape got
pops up and he's
snagged.
like, fuck, hey, look away. I'm not here.
And even with that being said, I question, do game developers think about some of the mechanics they create in games, or not even mechanics, just animations? Because like even keeping Batman as a theme here, you look at like fucking Injustice, where his super ability is to summon the Batmobile to run you over. Some of these like fighting like these arenas, it's like, where was the Batmobile at?
Yeah.
Off screen?
I mean, that's why some of them are so bad, dog. Like,
Yeah.
It was off screen. That's the end. That's the only
Or like,
explanation.
which one is it? Which one is it? Superman's, where he takes you like into the atmosphere. He uppercuts you into the atmosphere, but if you do it in the watchtower, it like doesn't make sense because you're in space. So it's like, so he uppercuts you into space, but somehow that puts you in the atmosphere of Earth.
Because he punched you
Yeah.
into like Earth 7.
I guess. Like,
it's funny because they have all these different map animations and shit for the transitions and shit, but not for the supers.
yeah, but not for the supers.
Lazy.
Like,
That's when it's lazy.
that's lazy. Because like,
That's lazy.
There have been fighting games that have augmented the ultis to fit the arena.
Yeah.
Where every arena has a slightly different ulti, so that you're like, okay, that makes sense.
That makes sense.
His
Well,
ulti's a little bit different,
This
so
was
it works
lazy
here.
because, like, in Injustice, if you uppercut somebody, I forget what building it is, but they'll like bounce through the other building. It'll all be animated, and then they'll land in the other part
Yeah,
of the
the next
stage.
arena.
So why can't, if I uppercut you, I just launch you through the stage? All it is
Yeah.
you animate me going through again.
Honestly, Superman's ulti, they wouldn't even have to change the animation, just change the backdrop.
That's it.
Literally, instead of making it look like the edge of Earth, make it look like space.
Yeah.
Literally the same exact animation, just change the backdrop. Because most of them shits was fucking Photoshop anyway.
They wanted you to see the scale of his destruction.
You know what I mean? Like, that's all I gotta do is just change the backdrop.
His shit kind of sucked though. Like his shit sucked. Oh god, this sitting is killing me.
That's why I had to sit over here now.
Oh, it's about time to wrap this shit up though. Just cause my legs hurt.
I mean, we can.
Well, wait till he comes back out to see.
All right.